Hi, I'm here with Japreece Dean, and you're in sunny Australia right now, right? Is it sunny?
Yes. Yes, it's summertime. It's nice and hot.
Okay, that's awesome. So, I want to talk about your professional career and your college career. And I want to start by asking you because professionally you played in France, Greece, Hungary, Mexico, Puerto Rico, Russia, and Turkey, and now Australia. So, is it a blessing or a side effect of your love for basketball that you get to travel all around the world?
Yeah, I think it's both. Obviously, God gave me that talent to be able to play basketball and that love for it. And I'm glad that, I still desire to want to be great and want to travel the world and play on the best teams. So I think it goes hand in hand that, yes, it's a blessing. And yes, it's my desire and love for the game.
Okay, and were you prepared that you will have to like be in one place 1 year and in a completely different the next? Are you okay with that now?
Um, I'm okay with changing locations. I think the worst part is not knowing, like, the next contract. Jobs are hard to get now, and especially being a small point guard, it's hard every year to get me a job. So I'm trying to play the best I can so I can make that easier on my agent and on my life. But being in different locations isn't a problem for me. I like to travel the world and see different things and play on different teams.
Okay, so do people still overlook you because of your size? Do you still feel that way?
Yeah, my agent tells me sometimes that teams, they decide to go a different way just because, my size. So yes, it still happens.
That's crazy because if we can return in time quite a bit, November 26th and your first career triple double, I mean 20 points, 11 boards, 10 dimes against Yale. I mean, if somebody of your height, because you're not that small, I mean 5'7" is not that bad, I guess.
Mhm.
And you're able to get a triple double, shouldn't that actually convince people that you can do all of the things that are like necessary?
I think 5'7" is a little generous. Google add an inch or two. But I think yeah, it shows that I can rebound the ball as a guard. I think that at my position, point guards could probably rebound a little bit more just because my man isn't crashing the rebound. They're getting back on defense. So I can probably get a few boards that, tip off or just the post players that they don't get. But yeah, I do think it has uh a play in that, being able to play at a high level because I can rebound the ball well. But I think it is other factors like defense and mostly defense, I think, is why they prefer to have bigger guards.
Okay. And so I want to ask about your situation in Australia right now,
Mhm.
because your team just parted ways with the head coach. Uh,
Yeah.
and so, what would be your diagnosis of how fixed the Adelaide Lightning?
I think it's a lot of things that play, a role in, what's happening with teams, and whether it's wins and losses, if it's luck. Um, but I think as a unit, we need to be better. Just to have whoever our next coach is, just to have their back. So I think that we have a great team, a great defensive team, and we have a few players on our team that are really good, that are big, like role players, that have big roles. So I think that we just need to do our part in, being able to execute, being able to sustain leads, just being able to play at a high level for 40 minutes. So I think that some of it has to do with us and just, finding ways to overcome that hump, and find ways to get W's.
Yeah, especially since you have a couple of WNBA players or players with WNBA experience. And I mean,
Mhm.
when you look at individual stats of like the top players, like you or Stephanie Talbot, they don't look bad. So it's kind of confusing. Why are you guys like struggling? If you can call it struggling. I mean, there's
Yeah, I
just
mean, it's confusing for us a little bit too. We know that we're a good team, so trying to navigate like why are we not coming out on top? And I think each day, getting 1% better and figuring out a way how to, grind and get those wins. And I think for us, it's just playing a total game, playing 40 minutes, because for one half we look amazing. We look like a championship team, and then the next half we fall off. So I think just figuring out ways to sustain playing at a high level for 40 minutes is the key for us.
Sure. And this is your first time in Australia. And I want to ask you, why did you decide to make that move and what makes Australia special? And what maybe as an extension of that, what makes the WNBL special too?
I think it's a great league. As you can see, a lot of professional, not professionals, but a lot of WNBA players come and play here. So I know that it's a high level. So I knew that I wanted to play here, so I get a chance to compete with and against WNBA players. So that's always nice. So I think the WNBL is competitive in that way. I decided Adelaide just because it was a good opportunity to be on a good team, play with great players, and try to contend for a championship. So you always want to try to pick a place where you can win, and be a contribute to that.
Okay. And as a point guard of that team, I want to ask you, well, what makes a good point guard? What, from your perspective, at least?
The point guard is probably the hardest position out there. Obviously because you're different roles that you play, but I think there's different type of point guards. I think you got point guards that lead by example, then you got vocal leaders who are point guards. And I think both of those are okay. But I think being able to command a team, having a respect of your teammates, being able to put your players in the right positions to succeed, having a great relationship with your head coach, I think is super important as well. So I think a lot of factors play into being a great point guard, but being able to do all those things and being able to, show that you can contribute too, you can score, you can assist, you can defend. I think those three things make you an elite point guard.
Okay. And as a point guard, you're known for your handles. And I wanted to ask, how did you work on them and what drills did you do? Maybe what players did you try to emulate? And why Kyrie Irving was among them?
Shout out to my trainer back home in Texas, Sean Hardiman. He has his own company, Ball Hard. Um, Great place to train, and that's where I became elite at being able to handle the ball. I think
And I
putting
think, I'm
in
sorry, that you made some vids with them as well, right?
yeah, there's
Yeah.
videos with them. Yeah. Just the consistency of doing it over and over again, you get better at it. And then after a while, you kind of don't even have to work on it. It's just second nature. But yes, Kyrie is one of my favorites. And definitely watched a lot of his film, a lot of his highlights. So trying to emulate that as well because he is a small guard as well. So I think that's one person that I watched the most.
Okay. And were there any special drills that you did?
I wouldn't say special. We did a lot of like heavy ball things. So it wasn't a normal ball, it was like a heavier ball. So we would just dribble that on like grass or like turf. So it was hard to, get the ball back up and then the ball is heavier. So I think that would be like special as far as drills.
Okay. And as an athlete, you used to run cross country, track, and field at Vista Ridge High School.
Yeah.
I know it was a long time ago, right? And
Yes.
at what point did basketball trump over the other three? And you knew you wanted to ball instead of like do track and field because you also got letters in that, right? So you were
Yeah.
appreciated as an athlete.
Yeah, I think my freshman year of high school is when I knew that, basketball was the only thing I wanted to do. I probably knew that sooner. I just did the other things because we kind of had to. So cross country wasn't something that I was like, sign me up to, run cross country. It was something that the basketball team had to do. And then I'm competitive, so I try to win at everything that I do. So I was gonna put my all efforts into the cross country when we did it.
Okay. And the other part of the question, so when did so maybe if it wasn't that, then what made you pick basketball over other disciplines? Like maybe there was a special moment that it happened, or was it just something that happened gradually?
I think that I was, put on this earth to have skills and for basketball and to play basketball and play at a high level and travel the world to do it. So I think that, it was just a God-given talent and that's what I was supposed to do. And I grew a love for the game and I knew I wanted to be great at it and play at the highest level. So I think that that's what made me like stick to it is because I want to be the best at it. And, I won't stop until, I'm playing at the highest level.
Okay, and Texas Tech and UCLA, this is like nothing to scoff at, right? I mean that's the highest
Mhm.
level. Yeah, so who
Yeah.
recruited you and how were you recruited apart from Texas Tech, obviously?
You mean like recruited
In
to
high school,
college?
in high school, yeah. In high school
Oh,
to
yeah,
college.
yeah. So we played like summer basketball, which is called AAU, and
Hmm.
that's where you play on a circuit with a team that has players from, all over, not just from Texas. So I play with girls from different states and different cities. And then you travel with that team to different states and you play in these big tournaments, and then college coaches come there and watch you play, and that's how you're recruited. So that's how they be like, we want that player, so we got to try to get that player to come to our school.
Okay, and any schools that you can name apart from those
Oh,
two?
yeah. I mean, at a college, I mean, at a high school,
Hmm.
it wasn't very many that, I mean, West Virginia, SMU. When I left Texas Tech, it was almost any school that, that I could have went to, Baylor, Texas A&M, NC State. It was a bunch of teams out of Texas Tech.
Okay. And you're a Texas girl, right? And you
Yeah.
decided to, because I saw a picture with a Spurs jersey, if I'm correct, or just like the Spurs were like in the background. There was a poster maybe of San Antonio Spurs. So were the Spurs your team, or did you?
Mm, no, I don't think the Spurs were my team. I've always been a LeBron fan, so
Okay.
I'm big, big LeBron fan.
Okay, cool, cool. And you picked Texas Tech, and what was that time like for you? Because it was close to home, right?
Mm.
So the transition wasn't that bad, probably. But how did you feel? Like, how did the change from high school to college feel, and how did you adapt to that?
I think for the most part, the change was within like, academics, being able to, compete at a high level and being able to go to class, make good grades. So balancing both of those. And then obviously the basketball part is just better. You playing against, I'm 18 and I'm playing against, 24-year-olds. So people that have been there for years. So I think just the change in speed of the game and then being able to balance work, school.
Okay. And then you transferred to UCLA, and may I ask why did you transfer?
Yeah, I think that I just wanted a better opportunity to be a professional basketball player. And I think that at the time, um, Texas Tech was not going to get me there. They have a new staff now, new team, new coach. So no, knock against them because they weren't, my staff or anything like that. But at that time, I felt like I wasn't going to get the most out of playing basketball there.
Yeah, and what made UCLA the better fit for you? Because it clearly was, right? You can see it.
Yeah. Well, obviously, UCLA is a great academic school, the number one public school in the country. So obviously, my degree from there would be huge. And then just what they breed out a lot of WNBA players, a lot of pros. So I knew that I wanted to play with other future WNBA players, and I knew that, they had a history of sending people to the WNBA. So I wanted to go somewhere like that where it was, pro. They wanted you to build to be a pro, and then obviously they cared about you more than a basketball player. So I knew that, UCLA was that.
Okay. And what did you major in?
Sociology.
Okay. And you graduated, right?
Yes, I did
Yeah,
graduate.
awesome, awesome. And does the degree become use like come in handy?
I don't know if it will. I don't think I will use that degree. I want to be a coach one day and work with, skill development, player development. So I don't think, my degree matters much in being a coach.
Okay, but you can use some knowledge from university,
Yeah, of
like in
course.
everyday
You can
life,
use,
obviously.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you can use that anywhere. So yeah.
Okay, cool. And you were drafted by the Chicago Sky. Were there any talks beforehand with the team? And was there like a moment when you knew that they were picking you?
No, so I found out when everyone else found out on the television. I think that when you're in the first round or the second round, you have more talks with the teams and they call you and you kind of know which teams like you before. But because I was drafted so late in the draft that I didn't have any talks or anything with anybody. And I think that's just the way it is.
Okay, okay. And y instead of the WNBA, your first game as a pro actually came in Russia.
Mhm.
So that's a big move. I mean, Texas, Los Angeles, and then you move to Russia, right? So that must have been a culture shock for you.
Yeah, it was. It was very different. I think playing in Russia your first year is probably really, really hard. So I wouldn't maybe advise anyone to do that. But it was just different, and I adapt well to most places. But I would say the biggest difference was just like the weather, like the people and the weather. So it's just a different culture. So the people are different and the weather was freezing. So I came from LA and Texas where it's, good weather and it's hot. And Russia was not hot. It was very, very cold during the winter.
Okay. And what was the place as a pro that you felt most comfortable playing in?
I would say here in Australia, I think this is the most professional team that I ever played for. Communication is great, getting paid on time. So I think that playing
That's
here in
always an
Australia is
issue,
probably the
right? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yes, yes. So I think here's the most professional place I've ever played.
Okay, okay. And how did you feel about the facilities in the pros? Because you're coming from Texas Tech and UCLA, like top schools, right? Everything
Hmm.
is done for you. I mean, you still
Yeah.
have to do a lot of stuff, but everything is provided in the sense that you have facilities to do that stuff in. And you move to the pros where, as we've said, the financial situation isn't always great. The facility, and what about the facilities?
Yeah, I think it's a big difference in that. I think that in college, donors and stuff put a lot of money into making those facilities like, top notch. Just because in college we're kind of catered to, we're kind of babied, we're kind of, you know, spoiled in a way. We get anything we want, everything we want. The facilities are amazing. I think as a professional, it's just a little bit different. And in Europe, facilities are just different. Um, so I would say that the facilities in college and stuff for me have been way better by far than playing professional overseas.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Many players say that once they go to the
Yeah.
pros, it's actually like a step backwards when it
Yeah, I
comes
mean there's
to
some
the
places I played that I didn't even have a locker room or my name on the locker or things like that. So it's just different.
yeah. And it mostly comes down to finances actually, because usually
Yeah.
like the hearts of those people are in the right places, just they don't have the
Yeah.
money to do that. Yeah. And eventually you get a call from the WNBA, right? But it's not from the Lynx. It's from the sorry, okay, messed it up. It's not from
You
the
good,
sky,
you
it's from the links, yeah? And you
good.
get the camp invite. What was that experience like? How did they contact you? Because you were traded before you actually played the WNBA game, right? That happens. And did the links like call you and tell you that they were watching you play and they want to see you in person? Maybe Coach Reeve actually reach out to you. How did that look like?
Yeah, so from Chicago, I was cut. So, there's
Ah,
not
okay,
enough
yeah,
spots
sorry.
and stuff. So I didn't even get an opportunity to try out there. I
But
think
you
for
did
the
sign the
training camp,
contract beforehand, right?
yeah, yeah,
Which
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
like,
You
yeah,
always just it's just standard
okay.
to sign a contract. Um, for Minnesota, it was I think, strictly my agent just being my agent at the time, his just being able to get people training camps because I was so fresh out of college that um they kind of went back on what I did in college and they knew who I was. And they're like, we need a point guard to come in and help in training camp. So I think that the training camp was good for me. It made me realize that, I can play in the WNBA. So it gave me confidence. But I think it was just a great opportunity just to experience that, meet some WNBA players, and then obviously get a chance to learn from Coach Reeves.
Okay. And did any WNBA team stay in contact with you?
No, no. After that, I got cut from there too. Usually you go into these places, there's no spots even available for the season.
Mhm.
You kind of just going for the opportunity. But no, I haven't talked to any WNBA teams.
Okay. So is it still a goal for you, or are you fine with the fact that maybe you will never play there?
I think that I'm okay, with the fact that I'll never play there. Of course, it's still in the back of my head that, I want to play in the WNBA. I want to get to play in front of my family, um, and play in the States. But, it is what it is. It's super political. It's hard to get in, it's hard to stay in. And that's just what it is. I hope that, future girls will have more opportunities, and there's more teams so people can actually make teams and stay on teams.
Okay. And just to wrap things up, you said that you want to become a coach in the future,
Mhm.
right? Are you
Yeah.
already coaching younger players, or are you trying to mentor younger players whenever you're at?
Yeah, yeah. When I'm back home, so I work at a gym, where I run skill sessions with the part owner. So I help out with that. So I'm getting some reps in like doing skill development, and then I do my own personal like one-on-ones where little girls or little boys, they want to one-on-one with me, and I just, teach them what I know and teach them what I learned, and how it got me to where I am.
And how does that feel, like teaching younger people stuff? Because I'm an academic teacher as well, and I know
Mhm.
how awesome it feels when they like respond to your guidance and they just ask you questions and they're very well open to knowledge that you're trying to impart on them. So do you also get that like nice feeling, nice cozy warm
No, yeah,
feeling?
yeah. I feel that warm in my heart, and it feels good to have someone want to train with you and look up to you and watch what you do. So I think that's a great feeling, and then just being able to just show them and teach them what I learned when I was young and how I did it. It's just great, and then obviously to see their improvement every time they come back, they're getting better at something, or I have a little girl named Elsie in Texas. Her dad sends me videos of her AAU games and shows me like some of the stuff we worked on that she's doing in the game. So, I think that's awesome. And just to have people look up to you and want to be in your position is just a blessing. And I'm grateful for it.
Okay, awesome. So thank you, Japreece, for finding the time. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope that people will stop overlooking you because of your height and actually appreciate you for your skills. Because some people do, but still, I hope that
Yeah.
everybody just stops that and appreciates you for who you are and what you do on the court. Off it as well,
Thank
but
you.
okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yes. Obviously. Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. Thanks for the
Thanks.
interview.
Okay. Bye.
All right. Have a good day.